What is up, guys? What is up? So today I'm going to go over some new updates on the Iran war situation. Things are escalating more and more and more. Despite what some of the news is telling you, I think the situation keeps getting worse by the day. So I'm going to go over some clips to show you that. So, yeah. It's been crazy times, guys. Very, very hard times. It's been hard for me to even wrap my brain around all this information, but let's get into it, shall we? Boom. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and hit the bell on my YouTube channel at Townsley R. Follow me on X at Ryan Town Slay. And just recently, I have a Facebook page, so follow me on Facebook at Townsley R. So just a few minutes ago, I just went on Gemini to kind of summarize what's been going on in the war. So basically, I asked Gemini, what are the latest updates on the current 2026 Iran war, Epic Fury? Basically, latest updates include air superiority. U.S. Central Command confirmed the U.S. forces now control the skies over Iran. Naval losses: over 30 Iranian vessels have been destroyed, including a drone carrier ship approximately the size of a World War II aircraft carrier, which was struck and set on fire within the last 24 hours. You have degraded capabilities. Iranian ballistic missile salvos have decreased by approximately 90% in drone attacks, by 83% since the operation began. Expansion of targets. The campaign has transitioned to a new phase focusing on the system dismantling of Iran's defense industrial base and missile production facilities. Regional strikes. Iran has launched retaliatory drone and missile strikes against Gulf states on March 5th, primarily targeting the UAE. Most were intercepted, though some reportedly landed in the UAE. There's also political and economic impact. There's a leadership crisis in Iran following the death of Supreme Leader Khamenei in the opening strikes. Khamenei is reported being selected as the new, a different Khamenei, Mojtaba Khamenei is reported to be selected as the new Supreme Leader under the intense pressure of the IRGC. President Trump had called this selection unacceptable. So basically, Trump has to accept who the leader is for it to work. And then you also have global markets. Oil prices have surged approximately $92 a barrel and $90, the highest level since late 2023, as the Strait of Hormuz remains effectively closed to commercial shipping. Public opinion. A new poll shows 56% of Americans oppose the military action, while 36% approve of Trump's handling of the conflict. And it's so funny because there is a Fox News poll that I do not believe at all that said like 98% of Republicans are in favor of the war. But I feel like that poll might be skewed because, well, for one, I think a lot of the people that are polled are older people that answer cold calls. Number one, young people don't. So I'm guessing around, this is just my guess, around, most of the people polled were 55 and older and establishment Republican voters. Because there's a difference between the MAGA crowd and the establishment Republican crowd. There's a big difference. Let's continue. Humanitarian concerns. Reports indicate over 1,000 civilians have been killed, including students at a girls' school in Manab. A preliminary U.S. investigation suggests the school may have been hit by an American airstrike. Think about it, guys. There is a chance that because of this war, because of the decision that Donald Trump's administration and Israel made to start attacking Iran, it has resulted in school children being killed. I also asked Gemini, what are the current casualties? Iran has had at least 1,168 civilian deaths. Oh, but we're freeing Iran! The Trump administration is here to free the Iranian people. That's what this war is all about. Freeing them by killing them? I don't think so. We also talked about the school children. 180 school children. Don't you remember Sandy Hook? Sandy Hook, there was a massive school shooter that killed a bunch of elementary school kids back in like 2012. So basically what the Trump administration is saying is this war is worth about 5 to 10 Sandy Hooks. I don't care if the United States or the Iranians hit the school. This is a result of deciding to go to war. You're killing kids. Let alone that, 6 service members have been killed and 18 seriously wounded. And one of those service members was 20 years old. A 20-year-old military member was killed because of this war. You have 11 to 12 civilians in Israel killed, 1,200 injured. And then in the Gulf, 77 people killed in Lebanon, 3 people killed in UAE, Kuwait, 3 people killed, Bahrain, 1 death so far. And then there's 50 leaders of the Iranian regime that were killed as well. So, like I said in my last video, I do not think where we stand today with the war, what has happened in this war so far leading up to March 6th, I do not think it's worth it. I don't think any of these deaths are worth it. Any of these disruptions are worth it. I think it is a catastrophe what Trump has done. It is a betrayal to the United States what Donald Trump has done. It makes me sick. And then basically CNN asked Trump, would you be okay with a religious leader in Iran? Trump said, yes, it doesn't necessarily have to be a democratic leader. Oh, but I thought this was for the people of Iran. I thought you were freeing the people of Iran. If you don't have a democratic leader, what do you have? A dictator. This whole thing, they don't have a plan. It's just a joke.
No, Wolf, is who's next? Who's going to be the leader? He connected it to Venezuela, as we've now heard him do in the last couple of days. But I asked him, well, okay, but in Venezuela, you had Delcy Rodriguez, and he said she's doing a very good job. I said, well, would you be okay with a religious leader in Iran? And he said the answer is yes. It doesn't necessarily have to be a democratic leader in Iran. It just has to be somebody who treats the U.S. and Israel fairly, as well as people in the countries in the rest of the Middle East. Wolf. No, Wolf.
How can you have a religious leader in Iran that is not a Democrat leader be the candidate for regime change when you just took out the Ayatollah? I mean, imagine this was like a Catholic situation and we invaded Rome, we invaded the Vatican, and we killed the Pope. Imagine that. And then we said in the same breath, oh, well, we're going to elect a new regime that is also Catholic. Are you kidding me? You think that next regime is just going to lay down their arms and just worship Donald Trump? No, you killed their religious leader. If anything, killing the Ayatollah is emboldening the terrorist. It is causing radical Islamic extremists to be pissed. Not only extremists, but just religious people in the Middle East. This isn't, just because you see all these videos of Iranians celebrating in America and in Iran doesn't mean that every single Iranian feels that way. A lot of them are very, very upset about this. And you're causing proxies around the world, terrorist Islamic proxies around the world, to plan and start getting ready to murder Americans and Israelis. It's just, and people in the West in general. And then here we go. Former Bush National Security Advisor and Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice seen entering the White House, according to CNN. Guys, they're bringing back the old roster, okay? The old roster, the people that the Trump voters hated. I mean, Trump's base hates Bush. Trump's base hates war. Trump's base is against the Middle Eastern conflicts. So this is an absolute betrayal to the voters. You're bringing back the old evil villains that loved war the last time coming back. Trump is betraying his base. And then here we go. Leave the ladder up there, bro. We're in for a long haul. There we go. They're starting to change the gas prices because the gas prices are going insane right now. I mean, look at this. Hold on. Let me unmute it.
for a gallon of gas jumped another 7 cents overnight, up 34 cents overall since the war began, as oil tankers get caught in the crossfire. But in a new interview, President Trump tells Reuters, if they rise, but this is far more important than having gasoline prices go up a little bit.
He doesn't care about what's going on at home, guys. I think since Trump took office in 2025, his mind has been nothing but this Iran and Israel thing. He doesn't give a shit about the gas prices. He doesn't care about fixing things here. His mind is laser focused on Iran, war. That's it. And he thinks that rising gas prices, killing kids, killing civilians, killing service members is not as important as actually just doing the war. It makes me sick.
Qatar's energy minister warns the Financial Times Gulf energy producers may need to shut down production, a move that could send oil prices surging to $150 a barrel. That brings him with a dire warning that this conflict could, quote, bring down the economies of the world. All of it happening as we get a new sign that the U.S. economy is on shakier ground. In an unexpected downturn, 92,000 jobs were cut last month, sending stocks tumbling.
Yeah, the stock market got cooked today. I mean, even Fox News reported on the job loss. Listen to this.
We're back with a Fox News alert. It's a business one. Moments ago, brand new job numbers revealed. The U.S. economy did not add jobs. They lost 92,000 jobs in February, a steep drop from expectations. Unemployment also ticked up slightly to 4.4%.
Imagine if Biden was president. Oh, all these Republicans, all these establishment war hawks, they would be like, Biden's destroyed the economy. Biden's bringing up gas prices. Biden's taking us to war. No, Donald Trump's doing that. And they won't, they celebrate this. They're celebrating it because they think it's worth it. And then this was a little bit creepy to me. This is creepy to me. Because right here, you got all these people praying for Donald Trump, praying for this man. Now, why do you think they're praying for him? Because his choice, his decision has led to the death of children, innocent civilians, and service members in the United States. That's why they're really praying for him. These people, in their minds, they're praying for him because, oh, God bless Trump. He's a hero. But I think they're praying for him because his decision, I mean, only God can judge, right? But I don't think God's going to look too kindly on this decision. That's just my opinion. But only God can judge.
We are honored to come before your presence today, lifting up the arms of our president. We pray for your continued blessing and favor to rest upon him. We pray for wisdom from heaven to flood his heart, his mind, and Lord, you will guide him in these challenging times that we're facing today. I pray for your grace and your protection over him. Yes. I pray for your grace and protection over our troops and all of our men and women serving in our armed forces. Yes. And Father, we just pray you'll continue to give our president the strength that he needs to lead our great nation as we come back to one nation under God, yes, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We pray your heavenly blessing upon him in Jesus' name. Amen. We are honored to come before.
It's almost blasphemy. It's almost blasphemy. Let's make a decision that's going to kill kids. And then pray for me. But I think Donald Trump knows the truth because just literally a few weeks ago, this is what Donald Trump said about going to heaven. Donald Trump thinks he's going to hell. No, oh, he was joking. Oh, he was just playing around. I think Trump knows that the decisions he's making as president of the United States could compromise him going to heaven. I mean, you tell me what you think about this.
Go ahead. You had talked a couple weeks ago, you were doing an interview, and you talked about how you hope to end the war in Ukraine because it might help you get into heaven. How does this help? Does this help?
I mean, little cute. I don't think there's anything going to get me in heaven. Okay, I really don't. I think I'm not maybe heaven bound. I may be in heaven right now as we fly in Air Force One. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to make heaven, but go ahead.
I mean, guys, you could analyze that however you want, all right? But I'll tell you what's not going to make it to heaven. This was poor taste. The White House came out with a video. Now, the older generation, this is going to go way over their heads, okay? But they posted a video of a Call of Duty edit where they took footage from the war that's going on right now and they blended it in with Call of Duty gameplay, almost to make a mockery of this war. I mean, this is just disgusting. I can't play the music for copyright, but just look at this. Okay. If you go back, okay, see that plus 100? That's XP points from a kill for the older generation. And when you kill someone online in Call of Duty, you level up by getting these points. So, and then you got the map right here. So they're basically acting like this war is like a video game. They're trying to make it cool. This is their attempt to try to get the younger audience on board with the war. And I just think it's so pathetic. I mean, what? I mean, guys, this is just, it's weird. It's almost uncanny. It feels like we're not even living in real life anymore. and then, after all this talk, after blowing up their ships, blowing up their navy, bombing them, service member getting killed, people across the Middle East being killed, rockets being shot down, everything. Speaker Mike Johnson doesn't even want to call it a war. They're trying to psyop the American people to believe, no, this isn't a war. Trump's the peace president. He never took us to war. This isn't a war. Are you trying to gaslight us? What these people are doing is worse than anything that Joe Biden did. Seriously. I mean, with the exception of opening the border, covering up for Joe Biden's mental decline is like microscopic to the gaslighting that this administration is doing. I mean, listen to this. This makes me sick.
Well, we just had an important series of votes on the House floor. As you know, the War Powers Resolution failed. That is the right result. We are not at war. We have no intention of being at war. The President and the Department of Defense have made this very clear. The Department of War has made it very clear. This is a limited operation.
The Department of War says it's not a war. Okay, all right, dude.
It's an operation that's limited in its scope and duration. It has a very clear mission, and that mission is nearly accomplished by all estimates. We are.
He's lying. It's not nearly accomplished. They're talking about 4 to 5 weeks minimum. But realistically, there's no way. There's no way. If they couldn't get regime change done in Iraq, if they couldn't do it in Afghanistan, those took decades and decades, and those had boots on the ground. If you're trying to win the war, you're going to have to put troops on the ground at some point. But because it's Trump, because it's Donald Trump, we have to trust him. We have to believe him. He's different than the last people, even though he's bringing in Condoleezza Rice for advice. He's different than the warmongers, but Condoleezza Rice is back, people. The gaslighting is insane.
We're taking down Iran's ballistic missile capability, its stockpile, and its ability to produce more. They were doing that at a scale and a speed that was more than our regional allies could keep up with, and it was a serious and imminent threat to the United States. We don't need to relitigate all that today. But also we wanted to take down the capability of their Navy, and all of that has been very successful. So this needs to continue. It would have been a very dangerous gambit to take the Commander-in-Chief's ability and a way to complete this mission. It would have been a very serious misstep by Congress, and I'm grateful that that resolution failed.
So he's celebrating because he didn't have to get congressional approval to start a war, even though it's not a war. See, the reason that he is saying that it's not a war is because he's using the lawyer language. Similar to how Hillary Clinton in my videos a couple videos ago used lawyer language to get out of something. Why he's saying it's not a war is because they did this without congressional approval. When they went to Iraq in 2003, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe Congress voted to go to Iraq, to go to war with Iraq. This time around, Donald Trump made the decision on his own without congressional approval. And then they're trying to gaslight the American people by saying, well, it's not a war. Trump could do this because it's not a war. I beg to differ. I just think it's absolutely bonkers. And I think to take it even a step further, if the executive branch and the president could start a war whenever they want without congressional approval and then lie about it and say it's not a war, I think that's un-American. I think that goes against our Constitution. I think it's actually a bastardization of our country. I think it's sick. Here's the stock market, $800 billion wiped out. And here's the Strait of Hormuz. This is an absolute disaster as well. Just look at this. Basically, these little triangles are the ships moving in and out.
4 days into it, and the Strait of Hormuz is still shut down, and it's going to be shut down for a long time because the Iranians haven't even tried to block it completely yet. They just sunk a few ships. And you got the U.S. running around sinking Iranian ships, including some the size of World War II aircraft carriers. When they're sinking huge ships, there's missiles.
So if you look at the left before the war, all these ships coming and going, the right after the war. And you can see right there in this corner here, nothing. Maybe like 1 or 2 ships going through. This is bad for the world economy. This is like an absolute disaster and a risk that Donald Trump was willing to make at the expense of the planet.
Flying around, and the insurance company said, you can't go through there. Trump said, I'll pay for any damage. And people are like, we don't believe it. So there's no ships going through right now. And now the U.S. says we're going to escort you through. The Iranians in 5 minutes can seal the Strait of Hormuz. They can fire a ballistic missile and hit the helicopter landing pad at the Mossad headquarters. Yeah, we could do that in the 70s. They can do that now. So you think they can hit a ship? You think they can? Yeah. And they got a bunch of oil drilling rigs that have their own engines and their own systems. You've ever seen those big oil drilling rigs? Most of those are mobile. And they could just turn those on and send them right out and turn the motors off and deflate them, and they go to the bottom.
A lot of moving parts in this war, a lot of consequences, a lot of things that I think are just damaging our world. I mean, there's the Strait of Hormuz again. A closer look, you can see nothing is going through. Nothing is going through. Things are getting blocked. Things are getting... apparently there's been ships that have been blown up there as well. If you want to comment at the bottom just to give me some... I think we already saw this one. Oh, did we see this one? I think this is a different one. Wait a second. Let me just double check. I think we saw this one. So basically same thing. Oil prices are going to go up. And then this guy, Professor Yang, I don't know really much about him, but he's been kind of going semi-viral because in 2024, he predicted that the United States would go to war with Iran. Now, this is how he explains how the Muslim world will unite to fight back against the oppressive actions of Israel and the United States empire. And this is what I'm afraid of too. So just hear this guy out for a second.
And so the first thing that the Iranians want to do is create a jihad to unite all the Shia against the American empire. All right, so what they want to do is create an uprising. And it's already happening, guys. The Shia in Pakistan stormed the American embassy in Pakistan, and the Americans killed a lot of people, okay? The Shia have attacked the American embassy in Iraq. The American embassy are being attacked in a lot of places. Right? So the first strategy is to create an international global jihad of the Shia against the American empire. And it's already happening. It will continue for a long time because the Americans have killed the Khamenei. Okay? And that requires vengeance. The other thing, though, is that it can unify the Muslim world. Okay? If you look at this map, most of the Muslim world is actually run by dictatorships that are not popular at all, okay? And they're allowed to exist because of the American empire, right? You go to Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Algeria, these places, they're all run by clients of the American empire, right? So if you rally the people who hate their governments and you overthrow them, then that makes Iran the leader of the Islamic world. Not just the Shia world, but the Islamic world. And this creates something called Pax Islamica. That is the end goal, guys. Okay? If you do that, then you don't have to worry about the Americans and the Israelis anymore. Right? So the Israeli game plan, the American game plan, is to fracture Iran into ethnic enclaves, and they'll fight over water for the rest of their lives, and they'll all die. The Iranian game plan is to create a religious war, a crusade, that unifies the Shia people, that overthrows the American empire, and establishes something called the Pax Islamica.
That's so scary, guys. That is so scary. And people just don't get it. They just hear the American side, the American propaganda, and they think, we're stopping the terrorists, we're gonna win. But it's way more difficult than that. How are you gonna control different proxies across the Middle East? How are you gonna stop that? And how are you gonna ensure that the new Iranian regime is gonna be safe from these proxies? I just don't see it, guys. I just don't see it a win in sight. Megyn Kelly, Tucker Carlson, the Hodge twins, Matt Walsh. You have conservative influencers turning on Trump. This thing is a disaster for the MAGA movement. I mean, listen to Megyn Kelly. Now they're calling Megyn Kelly anti-Semitic.
Look, there are massive divisions over what we've done here, and people are going to change their minds over the coming days and weeks, one way or the other. But my own feeling is no one should have to die for a foreign country. I don't think those 4 service members died for the United States. I think they died for Iran or for Israel. I think I understand how this helps Iran perfectly well. I get it. I mean, I hope. Long term, we'll see. But they seem rather jubilant. 80% of the country does not support the Ayatollah. He was a terrible, terrible man. No one's crying that he's dead. No normal person. But our government's job is not to look out for Iran or for Israel. It's to look out for us. And this feels very much to me like it is clearly Israel's war. Mark Levin wanted it. It's his war. Ben Shapiro, Lindsey Graham, Miriam Adelson. That's obvious. They're the ones who've been pushing us into.
That is the new establishment. Those people that she named, those are the people that were never Trumpers for the longest time. Now, all of a sudden, that Trump wants to go to war with Iran on behalf of Israel. Now, all of a sudden, Trump sees them as the new MAGA. And Trump has pushed out Tucker, he's pushed out Megyn, he's pushing out people like me. We're getting alienated from the Trump administration because he's siding with them and is against us. He's attacking us. But there's one Republican that I have hope for. It's Thomas Massie. Thomas Massie, Rand Paul, Marjorie Taylor Greene, please run in 2028. See, I want the Democrats to win the midterms. Not because I support Democrats. I cannot stand them. But I need there to be a message to the Republican establishment that the people don't want this, that the people reject this, that Trump's base feels betrayed. They need to see that in the midterms. So by 2028, Thomas Massie, if he decides to run, or somebody like Thomas Massie, could win and could shut down this once and for all. You think that a war with Iran that cost $1 billion a day is going to help Doge cuts? No. By the end of Trump's presidency, he's going to spend more than Biden. He's going to spend more than Obama and Bush. Trump's going to have the record for the most amount of money spent. And what's that going to do to our national debt? It's going to skyrocket. And the people that only seem to care are Thomas Massie, Rand Paul, and Marjorie Taylor Greene. That is it. Listen to what he has to say. Because going off of what I was saying earlier about congressional approval, Thomas Massie is arguing that this is an illegal war. And I think it is an illegal war. You can't just go to war and decide like that without Congress. You can't. Obama tried to do that. It's bad when Obama does it. It's bad when Trump does it. Let's listen to what he has to say.
The gentleman from New York is recognized.
Yeah, I'm happy to yield 5 minutes to the gentleman from Kentucky and the sponsor of this important resolution, the Honorable Representative Thomas Massie.
Gentleman from Kentucky is recognized.
I thank the gentleman from New York. Mr. Speaker, James Madison wrote to Thomas Jefferson in 1789, "The Constitution supposes what the history of all governments demonstrates, that the executive branch of power is the most interested in war and most prone to it. It has accordingly, with studied care, vested the question of war in the legislature. The Constitution is clear. Article 1, Section 8, Clause 11 of our Constitution provides Congress initiatory powers of war. Article 2, Section 2, Clause 1 of our Constitution gives the President operational powers of war to wage that war. Even if this body were to pretend that the 1973 War Powers Resolution supersedes the clear language of the Constitution, the President still has not met the conditions required by that law itself. The 1973 War Powers Resolution states plainly that the President may only introduce U.S. armed forces into hostilities pursuant to 3 conditions. Either 1, declaration of war, 2, specific statutory authorization, or 3, a national emergency created by an attack upon the United States. None of those conditions exist today. Iran has not attacked the United States, Congress has not declared war, and Congress has not granted specific statutory authorization. Beyond the constitutional question, here lies an even more important one. Why are we going to war with Iran? We owe our military service members a clear mission. And American families in my district want to know how this is going to help them pay for groceries. How does this make them any safer in their schools or in their neighborhoods? How does this help them pay for housing? Have we learned nothing from the laundry list of wars and regime change experiments we sparked across the Middle East that have racked up a total of at least $8 trillion of debt in Iraq, Libya, Syria, Afghanistan? A sustained war with Iran will not stabilize the region. It's already ignited the region. It will radicalize new generations of terrorists, and it will send more swarms of refugees into Europe and the United States. Iran is not Venezuela. The Ayatollah was not a president. He was a religious leader from a region notorious for radical Islamists. And the United States and Israel turned him into a martyr. And in the process of doing so, we've already expended billions of dollars, and more solemnly, 6 American families must now lay to rest their sons and daughters. And for what? This administration can't even give us a straight answer as to why we launched this preemptive war. The president says we had to strike first because an Iranian strike was imminent. Meanwhile, the Department of Defense conceded there was no evidence of an imminent Iranian strike. Some told us this war was about nuclear weapons, but 6 months ago, we were assured our last strike on Iran decimated their nuclear program. So which is it? I think the most candid answer came from the Secretary of State, who told the press that Israel forced our hand and dragged us into this war again. And that truth is the very reason why it is Congress that must decide war. If American lives are to be risked and American blood is to be shed, that decision must be debated and voted on by the representatives of the American people. And that debate is meant to be arduous. And that vote is meant to be hard. I have a theory. I think my colleagues don't want to go on record because we have a terrible track record of meddling in the Middle East. They don't want their name associated with this when it doesn't turn out well. But Congress cannot be bothered with its constitutional duty because for many in this chamber, it's easier to simply allow someone else's sons and daughters to be sent to combat without their vote. And to be clear,
Yeah, I mean, why don't you think Trump would have made this decision if he knew that Barron Trump had to go fight this war? I don't know. Would Trump sacrifice his own son to go to war with Iran? Because he had no problem sacrificing the 20-year-old service member that died. He had no problem with that kid, so I don't know.
We aren't even here to declare war today. All we're voting on is a war powers resolution to reassert the Constitution, that Congress must decide questions of war. And if Congress wants war, then the Speaker should hold a vote to declare it. Some say Congress authorizes war when we pay for it, when we pass the budget bill. Here's the problem. We haven't taken on the hard work of defining the mission for our sons and daughters who are going to fight. That's not in the budget bill. It never is. And to the men and women who are engaged in combat, I sincerely thank you, and I pray for your safety. It is for you that I wrote this resolution. It is for you that all of us are here on this floor working so hard to force this vote so that you will have a clear mission that you deserve, so that you will know when you achieve it, you can come home. And with that, I urge support for this resolution, and I yield back.
Wow. Like I said, guys, the only hope we have is if Thomas Massie becomes our next president. I mean, I don't know how else to say it. This administration has obviously turned into a warmonger administration. It is turned into George W. Bush 2.0. This administration has absolutely pushed people like me away, pushed people like Tucker away. And the administration has admitted that it's worth rising gas prices. It's worth destabilizing the Middle East. It's worth the death of our service members. It's worth the thousands of innocent civilian lives. That's what they think. But someone like this...
The gentleman from New York is recognized.
Yeah, I'm happy to yield 5 minutes.
Of our Constitution.
This man, the only Republican left. And if he ends up getting assassinated, then you know who's running the show. Anyway, guys, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and share, and hit the bell on my YouTube at Townsley R. Follow me on X at Ryan Townsley, and follow me on my Facebook page at Townsley R. And this is Townsley R signing out. Bye-bye.